What's going on, everyone? I hope you can hear me. Just joining you for another recap after the first round in Albert Park over in Melbourne for the first race of the year. What did you think about it? Thoroughly enjoyed it. We're back for another Weir Racing video. Just going to check the view out, make sure we're in the setup. Jacket sticking out there. Not used to this live stuff, you know what I mean, boys and girls, to be quite honest with you. But we're going to get into it. We're going to start from the bottom up. Hopefully a few of you can join by the time we get up the pecking order. We're going to go across the hot topics from this weekend, who done well, who performed as expected, who didn't, and take it from there. So we're going to start with the non-finishers. Carlos Sainz, he sustained quite a bad engine failure, which resulted in a fire on his McLaren. Obviously, that's the Renault powered, so another failure. Not looking too good there. He managed 9 laps, was it? Yeah, and DNF, no good for Carlos Sainz. Started 18th as well, had a bad quali. Pretty much a bad weekend for Carlos Sainz. Not much to take out of that Grand Prix. Then the noticeable one here, Danny Ricciardo in his Renault. Really disappointing in the first lap of the race. He just got a good launch. He was going to go around, I think it was the, I was going to say the forcing, the racing point. And unfortunately, just off the track, there was a ditch. I'll show you a picture of it in a minute. And yeah, he come a cropper. He come a cropper. Let's have a look for it. Got a close up. That was the ditch here. This is where he's just run down and it's just bottomed out the whole front end of the car and just completely smashed off the wing, and it just wrecked his car just in a matter of a few hundred meters down into turn 1. So disaster for the homeboy. But yeah, hope for better next time. It looked like the car had good pace. I'm just going to see if any of you have joined yet. Any of the motley crew. Can't see anything. Anyway, moving on, we've got Romain Grosjean. Another failure, another pit stop. Same track, same time, same driver as well. Romain Grosjean, the wheel wasn't attached and he had to stop the car. There was trouble on the pit stop, he took extra time. He might have cross-threaded the bolt and it slowly come loose across the lap. But yeah, tragedy there for Romain Grosjean. He started in P6 on the grid, and it could have taken some real serious points in this race and really pushed the likes of the Ferrari even. But yeah, gutting day for Romain Grosjean. So out of the runners, the remaining runners, the 17 remaining, we had Robert Kubica. He was 3 laps down in the end, and yeah, it was a pretty harsh race for him. He had a bit of a argy-bargy himself throughout the race. We had his teammate George Russell, kept it a bit cleaner. But no pace in the car. Williams are the only team this season where their lap times are actually slower. It's the only team out of everyone where they're actually running slower than last year's car lap time. So that's terrible. Giovinazzi, a bit disappointing there. In 15th, he was a lap down. And yeah, not much to take from that. He had a good car under him, as Kimi's proved. So yeah, pretty disappointing for him. Then we've got Alexander Albon, the debutant in his Toro Rosso Honda. He finished a lap down. Pretty solid, you know, first race, brought it home. So that's pretty important for him. Then we've got Sergio Perez. He had a good starting position. He started P8. But is it Perez P8? P10, sorry, we were talking about Lando Norris. Yeah, so he started P10, but of course the cars directly behind him had fresh tyres. They could mix up the strategy. So that's why he's finished outside the points. Lando Norris, he brought it home. You know, he did have the best race, but it's a learning curve for him. I'm sure he's going to gain so much experience from this race. So he finished down in 12th, out of the points. But it's an important finish for the team. Pierre Gasly really struggled to overtake Pierre Gasly. He didn't really have the confidence, the oomph, the sort of the swagger to get through the field. Like, he had the fast car. You can see that from, you know, Max Verstappen finishing on the podium. But where did he start? He started down in the 17th, was it? He had a poor qualifying. 15th. Yeah, poor qualifying, and yeah, couldn't even get a point out of the race. So that's a bit of a shock for me. I thought he would have worked his way through the grid a bit easier, but it is Albert Park. It is difficult to overtake. And then just in front of him, Dani Kvyat, the Torpedo. He finished in P10 in his Scuderia Toro Rosso Honda car, just a lap down as well. Started 15th on the grid, I think it was, or 16th. So a pretty good result, you must say, for Dani Kvyat, getting a point on the board. And we got Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll started back down in 16th place. So that's a real good race for Lance Stroll. You know, he's made 7 positions up there, and he's finished in P9 for his Racing Point, which is a brand new car. And that car is a million miles away from some of these midfield. So really good result there for him. Then we've got Kimi Raikkonen, the Iceman, in his Alpha with the Ferrari power plant. He managed to get 8th place, and yeah, he started 9th on the grid. Sorry, so he managed to make up 1 position. Pretty solid result there from Kimi, just showing what the car is capable of. We had Nico Hulkenberg just ahead. I thought the Renaults would go pretty well. I think Danny Rick, he would have done well, if not even better than Hulkenberg, if he had a clean first lap. As you can see here, finished up in P7, solid bag of points, and he started 11th from the grid there. So yeah, pretty good result from Nico. And we got K-Mag, which is like top of the sort of driver standings, this down here in terms of the midfield battle. So he come out on top. He got the victory, if you could say, for the midfield battle. Finished there, P6. Good bag of points there. And yeah, he started 7th on the grid, so made a 1 position. Didn't really have too much to do. He did have a bit of a fight with Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg wasn't surprised when he slammed the door on him, and yeah, wasn't too polite in his racecraft, shall we say. Then we got Charles Leclerc, finished P5, and he started 5th on the grid. Didn't really go anywhere. Was managing to attack Sebastian. I was really impressed with that, actually. Like he was on a bit of a better strategy, you could say, maybe at that point, but he was looking to overtake Sebastian, and the team, I think he said, can I use it? What do I have left? Or something like that. And then the team said, don't overtake Sebastian. I think he asked the question, so it's pretty telling that he feels like he needs to ask if he's allowed to overtake Sebastian on track. And the team wasn't that interested in it, so he managed just to hold station, bring it back home. Solid result for Charles Leclerc. I think he's looking to outqualify Sebastian. That is the key thing. Really stamp down his authority, and then get a good start, get ahead of him. And what's the team going to do then? That's going to be the interesting factor. Then we've got Max Verstappen. Pretty good standout performance, I would say. Really took it to Sebastian Vettel. Had a great fight up into turn 1. We'll have a look at some images now. And it stopped working. Stopped working. Reboot. So here we can see the rundown to turn 1. So we can see Valtteri Bottas, he got a great start, managed to slip it up the inside there, and we've got Lewis Hamilton trying to hold station, Vettel attacking, we've got Max Verstappen on the attack as well, looking to take advantage of this Ferrari. We can see the 2 Haas's there in good positions as well. Poor old Danny Rick, he's already suffered his wings, long gone by this point. He's got no Red Bull, he's got no wings. You see it in free practice, no, not free practice, testing now. See it here. Pretty scary stuff. You can see just where he's run over now. The wing there. You can see just the impact here. So that's when it's at its lowest point. The front right here. So that's just bottomed out the front of the car. And you can see it just breaking here and just going to come off. And we can see the victorious Valtteri Bottas. Good on ya. Thank you, Charlie. Yeah. He dedicated this race to Charlie Whiting, and it's such a sad loss to see such an influential person on the sport. He was really a guiding hand to a lot of drivers, reassured them by his sort of lead in track safety, driver's safety, talking about all sorts, being very open as well. He was a very open guy, very well liked. It's going to be sad not to have him anymore, I'm sure. So getting back to the race results now. Yeah, Max Verstappen, a great result. Good racecraft up against Sebastian Vettel. Really put it to him. Solid as well. Big thing to note, this is Honda's first podium in this new era since they've come back. So that's great, you know, like in the first year of the partnership, the Red Bull Honda team, that they've managed to get a podium in the first race. That's a pretty bold statement there. And they look like they could even do better as well. Then we got the two Max. Lewis Hamilton didn't have the best start. He said it was over after turn one, and that it was game over after that. Valtteri Bottas took advantage, had the balance, felt good in the car, and he could just pull out the time. I'm sure he wasn't pushing as much either. Lewis Hamilton did have Max Verstappen coming up to him behind. He said he had no problem with that. He had it in the bag. He wasn't really interested, we don't think, after the first corner. I think they probably had the discussion, whoever gets first corner gets first dibs on the strategy. You can see Lewis, he had to pit very early, done out a 40 lap stint almost on the medium tyre, which was really off pace, so really hindered him in that respect. But credit where credit's due. To whom it may concern, fuck you, or is it fuck off, is what Valtteri Bottas in his winning sort of like lead up into the pits. Good on you, Valtteri. Great result. And 26 points. He got the fastest lap of the race. I think it was on lap 58, as well as Lewis Hamilton. And he just edged out everyone who really put it in quali mode for the last part of the race. Now, that's going to be interesting. If your engine has done like 3 or 4 races, you're going to really want to put it in party mode at the end of a race when it's been running for that long, you know, and it's, I don't know, it's going to be a big risk. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes advantage of it. Lewis put it up into Strat 10 as well as Valtteri Bottas, and that Merc is really looking solid. What do we think about the Ferraris? Coming away from Barcelona, looking at the Ferraris, you would have said they're unbeatable. There's a little chance Mercedes could probably challenge them, but not in the fashion that we've seen here. We've seen the gaps. Just look at the gaps. Just look at the lap times. Look at the qualifying. It's a really poor performance from Ferrari, and I don't know what they're going to go from here. I think there's really got to be change. Bahrain might suit him. It might just be a track temperature issue. We've seen it with the Merc in particular. It works on certain tracks. It doesn't on other situations. So it might be all about the tyres. These new Pirellis for this year. Slightly different compound. Let me know your thoughts on that. So what were the other talking points from the race? I think the big one is the Williams team. I think it's really looking bad. I don't know where they're going to go from here. Like every year their car is getting slightly slower, and it's got to be a big change in their technical setup, how they work things, how they go about things. I don't think it's all down to one man. I think there's something fundamentally wrong about them this year. So as you can see, the championship points here, hopefully if it loads up this file. It's not even big enough, we can't see it. But you can go to FIA.com, you get a lot of good tech analysis off FIA.com, so you can see all the fastest speed traps, fastest laps, all the scrutinarians, so you can see when certain cars have been weighed, what they've been testing, what they've been looking, what they've been measuring. So I really recommend you visit FIA.com to get the insights. So you can see Danny Rick here suffering his failure in a massive fashion. That's a big bill. You're going to build a track for that? Because I wouldn't fancy picking up the bill for that, would you? So where do we go from here? What are we going to see in Bahrain? What are your predictions? Who's going to come out on top in Bahrain? I do predict that Ferrari will have a car on the front row of the grid in the next race. I do think they've really approached it wrong from Friday to Saturday. I think they've taken pace out of the car potentially. They've not set it up and fully understood their car. It looks great, sounds great, it's got the power, Everything's there. It just needs to come together. So I think Merc are going to be a great challenge as well. I think we're up for a great season. You're going to see Honda at a few tracks, these street circuits, where they can really come to the fore and cause an upset, take points off the big boys, and cause an upset in terms of the championship fight. Who are the main championship protagonists this year? I think everyone's in the mix. You got Valtteri. He's looking bullish. He's coming out strong. No fucks given. Plenty of fucks given by Valtteri, shall we say? Because see, Lewis Hamilton, you know, he's still got that form about him. We can see Sebastian. It's a make or break year. He needs to score more points than Charles Leclerc. If Charles does outscore him, that's going to be interesting, the dynamics of that this season. The other driver pairings are further down, Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly. That's a bold statement from round one. You know, a podium to out of the points completely. It's a big concern for me. The Haas boys, I think K-Mag, he's shown today and yesterday, he's got the pace. He is the man. I think he's leading that team, and I think Grosjean, he was very unfortunate in that race at the same time, but I think K-Mag will come out on top. Danny Rick, for me, at Renault, I think he will be the best driver this year. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you want me to do, what sort of content, talking too fast. And yeah, I'll catch you all soon. Have a good evening. Peace out, y'all. Nobody's talking.